Good morning, David Hinton, and I am here doing my day 9 of my 90-day Facebook Live personal challenge. Again, it's an idea I got from Mark Harbert, and I am continuing on with The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson's masterpiece. Really enjoy it. So today we are covering Chapter 8, Mastering the Slight Edge. He says that mastering, well, I say what he says. Mastery is not for the elite or the super talented. It is available to anyone willing to get on the path and stay there. He says, mastery is not, I just said that, didn't I? But mastery is not an exalted state that lies at the end of the path. It is a state of mind that lies at the very beginning. Okay. The upward journey of success on the slight edge curve is available to anyone who's willing to get on the path and stay there. But it's only by being immersed in the process, the day-to-day progression, that you will come to know the road. That's how you will acquire and refine the skills and awareness you'll need to master the slight edge and therefore master your success in your life. All that's required is taking the first step. Well, he tells the story of a baby. So every baby, you can see it in there. He relates, seeing it in the mind of a little infant after it's several months old, and it sees the parents and the brothers and sisters and other people walking, and it says, this walking thing, I think I'd like to try that. So what do? They begin to pull up on things, and they fall, and they hang on to the coffee table, and they take a few steps, and they fall, and they fall on their rear end, they fall on their head, they fall on their knees, but they keep going. They keep going. And eventually, they're taking a few steps, and everybody's encouraging them. And before you know it, they're walking, and then they're running. Well, he states that they got on the path to mastery when they began the process of even attempting to walk. And I agree with him. So all babies are masters. So the question is, why do we stop acting like babies? And he says, glasses back, excuse me. Why do we stop acting like babies? We only let go of our natural pull towards success, our mastery, over the course of those 40,000 no's. That's a cat doing that, by the way. What that? Okay. The answer is both simple and sad. Somewhere along the way, you lost faith. You became too grown up to take baby steps. Too sure you would never succeed to let yourself fail a few times first. So we give up or never try. But the good news is this: we can step onto the path of mastery anytime we want. There's something treacherous about letting go of that childlike willingness to try and try again. Something insidiously dangerous about buying into the idea that will never work for me. It is this: settling for less, settling for failure, and giving up on baby steps soon become a habit. The first time you give up, it's painful. But the more you give up, the easier and easier it gets. And success recedes further and further from your grasp. Can you guess why? That's right. It's the slight edge working against you. Life is heavy. Welcome to the 95%. Like I said, you can step back onto the mastery path anytime you want. The next heading is under the word wanting. He quotes the famous Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich. There is one quality which one must possess to win, and that is definiteness of purpose, the knowledge of what one wants, and a burning desire to possess it. He points out that the word want has two meanings. It can mean your desire. It can mean you desire something. It can also mean you lack something. And in a way, there are really two meanings. And those aren't really two meanings. They're two sides of the same meaning. We tend to desire what we lack and lack what we desire. He makes a good point. He said, wanting hurts. And he gives an example. Go tell 5 of your closest friends your true desires, your biggest ambitions. Talk about uncomfortable. So, the next heading is closing the gap. The gap is between where you are and where you want to be. The in-between is the gap. So there's only 2 ways to eliminate the gap. Number 1, be drawn like a magnet to the where you want to be. Where you are, where you want to be. What Hill called the burning desire. Number 2, eliminate the desire and settle. So here's what he says. Remember, you have to go one direction or the other. You can't stand still. Everything is constantly changing. There are only 2 possibilities. Either you let go of where you are and get to where you could be, or you hang on to where you are and give up where you could be. You're either going for your dreams or giving up on your dreams, stretching for what you could be or settling for what you are. There is simply no in between. Remember this. Remember, this is the slight edge, and doing nothing means going down. It's your choice. He quotes Arthur Schopenhauer. All truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it's violently opposed. Third, it's accepted as being self-evident. Those 2 slight edge curves, the success curve and the failure curve, run parallel to each other for a long time. The 2 paths may be so close together that it's almost impossible for most people to even see the distinction between them. Then all of a sudden, they veer away from each other. The success curve shooting up like an eagle, and the failure curve plummeting down like the stock market crash. The people living on top, who take responsibility, live a life that is in some ways uncomfortable. Successful people do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do, and that often means living outside the limits of one's comfort zone. When you're 1 out of 20, you're always going to be in the opposite direction from the mainstream, or from the other 19. The people on the other side are comfortable. They're with the masses. Their lives are more comfortable early on, but become more uncomfortable later on. Suddenly, late in life, they find they don't have the finances, they don't have the health, no longer have the relationships, and their lives become very uncomfortable. Those on the success curve, by contrast, end up far more comfortable later on because they have finances, the health, the relationships, the success. This means changing your thinking about the comfort zone. It's a change in philosophy. It means embracing living uncomfortably in order to attain a life that is genuinely comfortable, not deceptively comfortable. And then this is probably my favorite story of the whole thing, of this chapter. And he tells the story of a funeral. So he was early on in his career, and they had put him in sales, and he early on he was scared to death of sales. He talked about how he had nervously driven to the sales call and white knuckling the steering wheel the whole way. Gets there, and won't get out of the car. He's nervous, nervous, nervous. And for some reason, he had brought a magazine along, and he nervously grabbed the magazine and flipped, and he came across an article about funerals. And what he discovered changed the path of his sales career and really his life, because what he read was that on average 10 people cry at your funeral. 10. And what was the determining factor if they actually went to the burial after the funeral was whether or not it was raining. So the point that he came to was, why am I worried about what somebody else thinks when chances are at the end of my life, number one, very few people are going to show up. Number two, only a handful will cry. And three, even less than that will show up because they're afraid they might get wet. So that's pretty telling in my view. And as he said, and it suddenly hit me, who has long funeral processions? At those funerals, do thousands cry? At whose funeral do thousands cry? For whom do the millions mourn? For those who will do what others are not willing to do, for the people for whom we erect statues. Oh, earlier, I like this. He said, but have you ever seen a statue erected for a critic? We don't build statues for the 95%. We build them for the 5%. Anyway, gigantic funerals are held in great crowds. Sometimes even entire nations mourn for those people who spend their lives not worrying about what others thought. Are you worried about what other people think? I know I have at times. So worried that, oh, what if I mention this business that I'm in to somebody? Oh, what will they say? They'll say, hey, Joel, they'll tell me no, blah, blah, blah. Well, whatever, huh? Anyway, key point, chapter 8. Mastery is not some vaulted, lofty place that only the elite few ever land. The pursuit of any aim, goal, or dream, personal, professional, spiritual, in any area, is a slight-edge journey of continuous improvement, learning, and refinement. But mastery is not an exalted state that lies at the end of the path. It is a state of mind that lies at the very beginning. Mastery is the act of setting your foot on the path. So, challenge. You're going to set your foot on the path? Or are you going to close the gap by being drawn magnetically to it? Or are you just going to eliminate it? That's the choice we have. Make the right one. Have a great day.